All right, Lane, thanks for joining me for our latest Thought Leader Spotlight Series piece. My name's Matt Camp, host and head of partnerships for DealMachine. On these Thought Leader Spotlight Series pieces, we really try to shine a light on industry experts, these, thought leaders who really can, have these inspiring stories, can educate our audience on lessons that they've learned over time and really kind of how they see the world evolving. So today I have Lane Kawaoka, who started a top 50 investing podcast, simplepassivecashflow.com. You own 4,000 plus units across the U.S. You've started a pipeline club, which is, acquired over $350 million worth of real estate by syndicating over $35 million worth of private equity in the last 4 or 5 years. You run a meetup based out of Honolulu. You do quite a few things. Did I miss anything else? Anything else big there? Or
No, I'm just trying to plug away, keep buying cash flowing properties. Yeah.
yeah, love
Good
it.
deal.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you don't mind to start there, I mean, I know I saw in your bio, like you started at age 13 with just $2,000, and really have kind of, started investing then and grown from there. So that would be really great for our audience to hear about. So if you don't even mind telling just a little bit more about your journey and how you got to where you are today, that'd be a great place to kind of give people context as well.
Yeah, I grew up like in a family where we're kind of taught to save our money and save for the future. So I mean, I knew about Roth IRAs when I was like 13, put my money there. And what's great about that is you see how much that thing sucks, right? And how it doesn't grow.
Yeah.
So, I was on this track to be an engineer because I happened to be good at math and science when I was 8. So went to school, studied hard, went to become an engineer. And then I, again, followed this financial dogma, which says to go buy a house to live in, which I did, saved my money from my pretty good paying salary to do that. And then because I was working on the road, which a lot of people do at their first job,
Mm-hmm.
because you're kind of the new guy in the
Yep.
office. I was never home, so I just decided to rent out my new home because I was never home. I was only home on Saturday, and then that's where this all started. Like, I think the rents were $2,200 a month, and the mortgage was $1,600, and didn't know anything about the rent to value ratio. I bought it in Seattle, Washington, and not a great cash flow market,
Mm-hmm.
but that was where I got this taste of cash flow, and I was like, I got the idea of like I can just keep doing this again and again and quit my day job that I didn't like.
When you jumped from corporate America, so when were stopping that day job, what was kind of the turning point that gave you the confidence to do that? Like, how did you kind of come to that decision?
Yeah, so maybe I'll back up a little bit. Like I bought my first rental in 2009. I kept buying more rentals around 2015, 6 years later, a long 6 years. I'll highlight that
Yeah.
because this is not a get rich quick thing. I had 11 rentals. And that was where I realized that a lot of sophisticated, accredited, high net worth individuals don't own rental properties. Like why would you want so much of a pain, right? And it's hard to kind of optimize your equity amounts because when you own a property, the tenant's paying down your mortgage, you get more equity and the properties appreciate, so your return on equity gets lower and lower and lower. So you have to either sell, refinance, 1031 exchange into the next asset. When you have rental properties, that is pretty much impossible to do. So I found this world of higher net worth accredited investors around me where they're all investing in private placements and syndications as passive investors. And that was where I pivoted. And so that's kind of mostly my portfolio today, more of these passive type of investments.
Yep. Yeah, I was going to say, I mean, I feel like you've really done a great job of kind of noticing the trends and pivoting accordingly. Like, can you maybe talk through our audience how you think that through and like how you identify those trends, how you make a decision to take action like that?
Yeah, I mean, I think for new people getting started, reading books is cool to a certain extent. I would recommend Millionaire Real Estate Investor by Gary Keller, a lot of good fundamentals in there. And you listen to the podcast, right, for about a year and a half. But after a while, you've kind of heard it all. The At least it gives you like a baseline of knowing like what a wholesale is, right? Or like what's a
Right.
flip, right? And you don't need to know how to do it, but you academically understand what it is. But then I call it the simple passive cash flow like journey. There's based on your net worth, there's a progression, right? When you're broke, you don't have money and you do certain different things. And when you're $500,000 to $1 million, And then when you're $1 million to $2 million and beyond, it's a different strategy. So it's all part of progression. Problem is when you're just drinking from the fire hose, you're hitting all the stuff from all parts of the spectrum of the journey.
Yeah.
Unless you have a mentor or a group of people around you that are in similar position, you don't really get the full like message and the guidance of what exactly per your situation, for your network, for your income, personal lifestyle needs, wants, desires, what you should be doing at that time.
Yeah. That's a great point is, there's just so much information out there that if you to open yourself up to everything and don't put context behind it, you may not know what's relevant to you. And, that's, I think a lot of like the paralysis by analysis comes from is trying to absorb too much information and maybe not taking action on that information. So,
yeah, I mean, we live in the info age. There's just so much stuff out there, right? I mean,
yeah.
It just makes
it's a lot.
The way I look from my like perspective is like if you're starting out, your net worth is under 100 grand. If you're able to save more than $10,000 to $20,000 a year, so that's income minus all your daily expenses, and you're not in a advantageous place like you live in California where there's no cash flow, where your rent to value ratios are under 1%, I would say go invest remotely in some kind of turnkey rental just to get started. If you want to get a little more hands-on, I'm not the guy to ask. There's a gazillion podcasts and books out there to read about that stuff.
Yeah.
But I tell people try get on the passive path as soon as possible, right? And that may mean you may not have no net worth, but you have like a good paying job where you're able to save, maybe a down payment on $100,000 house, which might be a culture shock or sticker shock and a cultural shock to a lot of people, that you can buy good rentals for 100 grand. And if you're using Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac debt, 20% down payment, you're going to need 20 to 25 grand for one of these puppies. So as soon as you save up 20, 25 grand, maybe you have another 5 grand of cash reserves in the bank, go passive, right? Unless you're more of an active person, right? You mentioned starting your business. Like I have guys starting a business, and I tell them don't invest in these real estate. Put your money in your business, marketing, hiring staff. It all comes down to your highest and best use.
Yeah. When you I know you've started multiple businesses like that and have various different things going on there. How have you kind of as you've added various things to your plate, can you kind of talk through your strategy there of like why you started the podcast, why you started these other things? How do you kind of think through your personal business plan?
I started the podcast back in 2016 because all my buddies were asking me how I was buying all these rental properties in like Birmingham or Atlanta, and I don't even visit it. And mind you, this is when I had about 11 rentals at that time. And you know how friends are, right? They ask you a lot of questions and they never do anything. So you're just wasting your time. So I was like, damn it, I'm just going to record this stuff before I forget it. And then, so a lot of like the first 12 podcasts are all about like, all right, really tactical, like where this is what you do, right? This is who you talk to. But like, I think that's why it became so popular, because it wasn't some kind of shtick on like, yeah, invest in my company, rah, 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 rah. Like,
just giving advice.
It was real and was freaking useful. So I think that's how I originally started this thing. It wasn't, I need to raise capital to do deals, so I'm going to make this podcast. It was truly, like partially I wanted to help people, but I just wanted to make life easier myself, so I can just send people an MP3 recording, have to host it on my own computer, and they just go listen to it and leave me alone, so I don't repeat myself 50 times.
Do you, whenever you are actually going through and consider, because considering how many things you have on your plate, I would guess that you maybe have other ideas as well. When you do evaluate, like, I'm starting the pipeline club or starting the podcast or, starting these various things, how do you kind of think through that decision on when it is time to launch something new and when it is, worth going all in on something?
Yeah, obviously, I think a lot of entrepreneurs suffer, myself included, from going into too many rabbit holes. You do too many things, you don't do anything.
Right.
That's what I found. Unless you're a superstar, haven't yet to meet that many superstars yet that can do everything or more than one thing. But I always like, I have a goal, a long range goal, and I figure out what are the projects that I need to do to get there. Like I want to keep buying more cash, yield properties with a little bit of value add. So I need a group of investors. So that's why I have the We Deal Pipeline Club, for example.
Mm-hmm.
And there's some steps to creating that. And after some point, it becomes a passive funnel for people to come in and join. Um, and then, move on to the next one, right? The idea, just like investing, right? You buy a rental, you set it up, and it's passive. So for me, these businesses are sort of mini projects, but they're all part of the bigger goal.
Mm-hmm.
But you kind of set up, like right now, I'm making like a syndication e-course. There's a lot of focus and time and energy that goes into creating such a thing, and then putting it out there, building the copy, recording videos for it, and then putting it out there. But after a while, it's like a building. It's built. It's done.
Yep. Love it. Yeah.
So
Yeah. I think a lot of people listening to this too, they're, either in real estate or looking at real estate, but they also are entrepreneurs broadly and are, looking for, looking at probably various ideas of what they can be spending their time on. So it's helpful to kind of hear your mindset and your thought process behind it.
yeah, I just don't see too many people like, I mean, I think people with that attitude, they don't really get anywhere. They're just ideal junkies. And like, I mean, they're kind of a dime a dozen. Maybe if somebody's created one thing and show that they can execute, right? Then it would be okay to focus on a couple of things. But
So do that first thing well before you even,
yeah, I mean, let's face it, the person listening right now, you could suck, right? You could, you just could be ideas, right? It's like, that's not saying that that's what you are, but like probability wise, I mean, not many people do anything or even get off the ground. Give yourself the best chance, for goodness sake, right? Even though that chance is a minority chance of happening, right?
Yeah.
Don't spread yourself too thin. But I think I know why people do it subconsciously. Well, people do multiple things because subconsciously they don't want to feel like, well, if that fails, well, I got these other two irons in the fire, right? So
Yeah.
it's like one of those things.
Yep. Don't want to feel like they're missing an opportunity, or they'll easily say, they can take comfort in that they have other things.
Yeah. Or they'd say, well, it's not like I gave it my best shot, 100%, and I struck out.
Yeah.
No, I got these other things going. I'm still dabbling. I'm not out of the game yet, right? But we all know what's going to happen with that story. So I pointed out very bluntly because people need to hear this. If they keep going down the path that they're heading, that's likely to strike out on all three of them and never get anywhere.
Yeah. It's hard. How do you kind of balance that with like keeping your day job and, having that going, but then also wanting to have kind of a passion that you're really focused on?
Well, I mean, that's like when you have your day job, you have to figure out how many hours you have after you come home, right? So people are totally sapped. Luckily, or hopefully you've got like a straight 8-9 hour job. You come home and there's a handful of hours every night. Now you're not going to work every night doing it, but like you can create a lot with 8 hours a week. A longer session on the weekend and then a couple hours here or there on the week. I mean, 8 hours is a long time. The fact that you don't make progress is just execution.
Yeah. Well, this was great. Yeah, I appreciate you kind of giving some a real talk to people to kind of give them inspiration, but then also say, hey, you need to focus. Don't do everything, half effort. Like, if you're going to try something, go for it. But do you have any other, any other parting advice based on this conversation? Or I'd love to have you kind of tell people how they can get in touch with you, how they learn more, where they can best connect with you.
I mean, I started with this just being a passive investor, and the nice thing about real estate is that anybody can kind of do it. When you start to get in the realm of creating, followings or blogs or any kind of a brick and mortar business or even virtual business, it can fail. I think real estate is one of those things that the average person can do with pretty high probability of success. I think the bad thing is that you're not going to make too much money, but hey, if I can double my money every 5 to 6 years, I'm good, right? Like with that high level of success. I don't need the 20x my money at 20% chance of that happening, right? Like, I think that's why real estate is such a good end game strategy. You know, go make a several $1,000,000, but at the end, your end game is to translate it to real estate for the many tax benefits.
Yep.
Or that might be your day job. Who knows?
Fair. Yeah. And
Like some people need jobs, right? Some people just can't.
Yeah,
just can't like do anything, right? Like, but they're brilliant people, but they need to go to a day job and get a steady paycheck. And the key there, if this is the path that I did, was just save up the money and invest it passively.
Yeah. And I think identifying your strength there is you know, a place to begin. So.
Gary Vaynerchuk says this all the time, right? Self-awareness is the biggest thing. You don't need to be smart or dumb. You just need to know what you're good at and what you suck at, and try and hide your weaknesses.
Yeah, that's inspirational, if anything else. So, yeah. And how did you say, Lane? How did you say people can get in touch with you? Or, you know, what's the best way to follow you? Is it your podcast?
Yeah, my podcast, Simple Passive Cash Flow. The URL is simplepassivecashflow.com. We kind of mainly focus on passively investing for higher paid professionals.
Mm-hmm. Perfect. Great. Well, thanks again for joining me for the conversation. And I think people will be excited to hear this.
Well, thanks, Matt.
Yeah.